And welcome back into Coleman Today. I'm Debbie Wood, and our very special guest, if you've missed our first segment this morning, Clif Powell, he is here with us this morning. We're talking about his book, Pray Hard and Speak Life. And folks, we're sort of halfway between his story, and we're just sort of getting to the point. You guys had just gone through the bankruptcy.
Right.
But something else, that there was a pivotal moment,
Sure.
and you talk about that in the book, and we do want to encourage you to buy the book. You've got to buy it and read it, and we'll tell you at the end of the show this morning where you can pick it up. But we're just giving you a little tidbits out of there, but so far I can tell it's just really going to hold your attention and be such an encouragement to you. But anyway, tell us about the pivotal moment.
Yeah, so right before the bankruptcy, one of my friends passed away, Whit Warren, who always was an inspiration to me as far as the way he followed Christ. Now, I didn't understand it. I didn't know why someone would want to lead that lifestyle and miss out on these worldly, tangible things and fun that's out there.
Right.
But he chased Jesus.
Yes, he did.
So whenever he passed away, I saw the impact that had on the community, and it was a sad thing, and I really felt sorry for his family. But as far as Whit was concerned, in my heart, something just kind of stirred inside of me that made me feel at peace, and I had comfort with him being gone, because then I realized that he had chased Jesus his whole life, and now he was with Jesus, where he always wanted to be. On his CD, I think it's called Going Home,
yes,
you can see him walking towards heaven, and that's where Whit longed to be.
Absolutely.
So I started getting curious about that, and I started kind of wanting to I was thinking more about how would my life look, I guess, if I lived that way. What would it be like?
So you became very curious at that time and just wondered.
Yeah, I did. I did. So that impact. So I had that. I think God just kind of planted a seed, basically, in me, and that started me the turning point. After that, Tamika and I wound up going through kind of hard times. The house that we owned was about to be foreclosed on. Thankfully, that we sold it in time to where it wasn't. However, the company I worked with, or whatever, the franchisee that I was a member part of, they wound up hitting me with that high bill. Okay, and then it wound up getting stuck. So during that time, though, I had surgery and had staph infection and wasn't able to lift anything over 5 pounds. Tamika was 9 months pregnant; she couldn't lift anything over 5 pounds, and we just sold our house. So our family had to be moved out. We didn't really have a place to go because we didn't have any money.
And a new baby, three children and a new baby.
That's right, 3 children already and a new baby on the way, and so our family and friends came to help, and they moved all of our stuff out, put it all in storage for us. We moved into my aunt's house, who had all their stuff in it still, because they were living with their another relative at that time, so helping him. So I started seeing God work in our life. And as I saw God working, I got a little bit more curious, and I just started kind of seeing a glimpse of God working, and actually started, encouraging Tamika, saying, I don't know why we're going through this, but we are, and there's a reason, and I know that it's going to be for the good. You just got to hang in there.
Right.
Now, her and I were at odds. We were not getting along at all at that time. One night I left and drove to Florence. And I was done. I left her, and that's the only time I've ever turned my back on my family, and worst time. But God used that moment to break me down. So anyway, so I started getting more curious about God, and He started working in my life more. And anyway, that was. But it all kind of started with Whit passing away.
With that, and from there. At that point, your family goes through another tragedy, just a terrible tragedy with your dad. Is that correct?
Yeah. So when we were going to move to Florence. Right. Okay. And then situations happened to where we weren't supposed to be there. Right. So within a month's time, we kind of moved to Florence, moved back home to Coleman. When we did, we found Daystar Church. When we started going to Daystar, the pastor there was preaching on generational curses, and I didn't really understand it. But at that moment, when he preached on that, I realized that's what I had. My father was an alcoholic. My grandfather was forced to throw away all the liquor in his house years ago because of my grandmother. She wasn't having it. and then his grandparents drank. So everybody, so generational curses. So I didn't really understand that until the preacher preached on that Sunday. I went home, threw away 32 bottles of alcohol, and I was done with that in my family. So we started diving into church more and more, and we started volunteering for the church, and I became the youth administrator for Daystar.
Wonderful.
And then the campus, the youth pastor wound up becoming the campus pastor for Hartselle. And during that time, we moved up to the church Hartselle campus for Daystar, and I was the church administrator as a volunteer. And the first year I was there, Dad got really drunk and attempted suicide with a knife, and wound up going to the hospital for 11 days in the ICU. Stayed in the hospital for 11 days in the ICU, and wound up passing away. So the enemy attacked my family in a new way at that time. And that was hard. That was real hard. But through Jesus, I was able to overcome it.
You became stronger.
I did.
I can see in your faith. And wow, what a testimony. After that, it was how many years from there, from when your dad passed to Tamika became ill? How many? Years?
It was 2 years, almost to the day. Yeah.
Not quite. Wow. And this part, folks, I mean, so also tragic up to that point, but this part, your soulmate, the mother of your children, you know, and you think everything's just sort of going along pretty good.
Right.
She's teaching at that time, and you're working and very healthy, and just a picture of she's just beautiful, long, beautiful blonde hair. What happens? So
in 2014, 2013 was the best year I'd ever had in outside sales. Sold over $1 million in products. First time our company ever broke that record, over $1 million. And I was the top salesman for 3 years in a row. And then wound up losing my job in April for no reason at all. I got let go. So from April, during May, and during June, I was unemployed. Couldn't find a job. Interview after interview, couldn't find anything. I didn't understand why I lost my job. Top in sales, why would he let me go? It did. And then June 14th, or June 11th, actually, June 11th, we wound up going to the hospital for chest pains. And the doctor diagnosed Tamika with pneumonia, but she actually wound up having a mass right in between her heart and her lung. It was about a 3-inch mass. So they did a test to see whether or not it was malignant or not, and it came back 7 days later. It came back malignant. So we wound up going to Vanderbilt, and they looked at all the slides for the biopsy, and they said that, you know, that they diagnosed her with a primary mediastinal lymphoma. That's what it was, and. So anyway, the treatments began the very next week, and for over the next 18 weeks, she would go in to Vanderbilt and spend a week in the hospital receiving about 6 different chemos. And that's whenever there's a lot that happened after that. The first week, she almost overdosed on pain medicines, and wound up in the hospital at the ER and receiving a drug called Narcan to keep her from dying. She went down to 7 breaths per minute, and so anyway.
Wow.
But the good thing about that though is that we when we first got diagnosed, or when she first got diagnosed, our prayer was that it would make a difference in other people's lives. That no matter what the outcome was for, you know, in this cancer, it was going to matter. It was going to make a difference. And you know, if she's going to go through that, and our family's going to go through that, we wanted to change lives. That's right. So that was our prayer. You know, Tamika and I spent about 30 minutes probably holding each other one morning, crying our eyes out, expecting the worst, and then it hit us. You know, why are we waddling in this pity? You know, we need to praise God that we're able to find strength, you know, and have strength to be able to be used for Him, you know, for His tool, or as His tool to be able to advance His kingdom, you know, because we want
other people.
Exactly, you know, and it's hard to see a blessing in cancer or any kind of tragedy.
Right.
But when you look deep enough and you find, you can find those blessings. There is good in tragedy.
There really is, and I've got to stop you right there. Losing his job. I mean, what a terrible tragedy to happen to a family, and then to go into this other. But I'm sitting here thinking, wow, God gave you the opportunity to be at home with her and to go. It gives me cold chills. And to be able to go with her and spend that time with her that you would not have been able to do. And not that it wasn't hard on the family to not have that income coming in, but wow.
Yeah, I mean, because I talk about it in the Pray Hard, Speak Life. I talk about, I really didn't understand, and none of it made sense. But my good friend, pastor, the youth pastor, he told me, he said, whenever things don't make sense, God's usually involved.
Yes.
So it started occurring to me, that God is involved here.
Yes, He is.
God is. Man, He opened up this opportunity for me to be at home with Tamika.
Yes.
And what a blessing that was.
Because you would have never left. You would have never left your job. He opened that door to allow this. Yeah.
And if I had to choose whether to go to work that day or help Tamika,
absolutely.
I couldn't make that choice.
No.
That would have been too hard.
Wonderful family. Her mom and dad were there to help. Your mother was there, and so many people in the community. And we've got to say that she is back at school now. I mean, you just can't even imagine what they went through and what she had to go through. But she's back at school, looks beautiful, feels good, and she's doing really well, isn't she?
Yes, she is. Yeah. And I just want to thank the community.
Yes.
This community is so great. And that's one thing about Coleman is the outpouring of help and support that we had from everybody. We can't thank you enough. I mean, we really can't. I mean, it's just it's amazing.
The prayer that went up for all of you.
She had 1,160 people praying for her on her Facebook page.
Isn't that unreal?
It's unreal.
Unbelievable. It's so wonderful. Gotta tell you this in the book in just a second. Pray Hard and Speak Life. There is a beautiful, and we'll get a close up in a minute. A beautiful necklace on the front with a cross, and a dear friend of theirs actually made this. But this actually was your slogan. This is what you you said it one day, and Tamika, tell us about that, how that came about.
Yeah, so Pray Hard and Speak Life came about. The very first post that I made on her Pray for Tamika Powell Facebook page, which is a secret page, so you're not gonna be able to find it if you Google it. But it's but the very first post I put it on there was talking about what we were going through. So, so Tamika and I had that morning when we said we prayed that this was going to make a difference.
Right.
We kind of got excited a little bit, and we said, we could do T-shirts, we could do this, and there's things that we can do to make this work and make a difference.
Sure.
So I said, well, we need a slogan, we need some kind of logo or something, And she goes, yeah, and so I was posting that, and I just said, in the post, I said something about her battle, and I said, so pray hard and speak life.
Yes.
And Tamika was reading it over my shoulder, and she goes, that's it. That's your slogan. Yeah, and I said,
love it.
Yeah, that's good. So every time I'd post, I'd try to end with Pray Hard, Speak Life. And I did a little bit different online. I'd capitalize the P and capitalize the L, because to me it made a little smiley face. I could see it, and most people probably couldn't. But it made a little smiley face. So I thought, we're going to get through this.
Absolutely.
And that's so that's why if anybody was a member of that and they always wonder why did you capitalize the P and the L, because it's odd.
And that's what it is.
That's it.
Speak Life. I love it. Pray Hard and Speak Life. So that's how that came about. And I've got on the very back, I want to read this really, really quick, and then we're going to talk about a couple of other things. Beautifully written, Pray Hard and Speak Life will lift your spirits and inspire your soul. It takes you on a journey through the most intimate, heart-wrenching experiences a young man could possibly endure. He was able to overcome a lifetime of trials and tribulations through his trust in God and the love of his family. You are now speaking at some different churches.
I am, yes.
I think that's so neat. I mean, I can just see, I just have to say, I can just see God in your face, in your eyes, in Christ. You just feel different, don't you?
I do, yeah.
You are different.
Yes, definitely. I'm definitely different.
Family life, I mean, I've asked you two questions in one, but how are things at home with everybody? Everybody's peaceful? And
sure. Yeah, well, I'd love to say it's a peaceful day every day, but honestly it's not. I mean,
well, when you got that many
kids. That's right. When you got that many kids, there's stress, and it's difficult. And the enemy always attacks. Don't think just because you become a Christian or just because you begin to walk in Christ that your life's just going to be peaceful. Actually, to be honest, I mean, it gets a little bit more challenging. The
Yes.
more you do for God, the harder the enemy's going to fight you. You know, because he doesn't want you winning everybody to cross.
No.
And so, you know, I've been preparing for a big battle with the enemy because I know that this is going. I mean, God's got His hands all over this book.
Sure He does.
And you know, and as long as I'm faithful to God and turn to Jesus for the strength and for Him to calm those storms, then you know, then it'll be okay.
Then you'll be okay.
But if I forget, you know, the enemy's going to sneak in. So you have to watch out. I talk about gates in the book and talk about making wise choices. We usually have decisions, and there's 2 different gates. You can decide this gate or this gate, and if you don't pray about it, you might choose that wrong gate.
That's true.
So you got to seek God and make sure you're wise about where your choices are and what you're doing. And I wish I could say that it is, but there's stresses at our house at times too. So,
Sure.
but we know how to overcome those stresses now. In the past, we didn't.
Right.
And that's why the battles kept going and going and going. But now we know to seek out to Jesus and ask Him for the enemy to flee and leave our house.
Exactly. So that's
what
so
we do.
wonderful. So wonderful to hear you say that this morning, Clif. And he's got several speaking engagements coming up, one up in Tennessee. And if your church, if you're watching this morning, your youth group would love to have him come and speak, he would love to do that. And we'll have some numbers for you on the screen that you can get. And what a website maybe?
Yes. You can go to prayhardspeaklife.com.
Okay.
You can also go to Facebook and search Pray Hard Speak Life, or just do facebook.com / Pray Hard Speak Life.
Okay.
So it's
All right,
online.
good deal.
online.
Now you're going to be at Deb's bookstore soon.
Yes,
to sign
September the
book.
19th,
Okay.
from 10 to 12.
10 to 12, so put that down.
September 19th.
Now you can get them there, but you can also get them on
You can get them
Amazon?
on Amazon. You can
Okay.
go to Barnes & Noble, Books A Million.
Great.
Deb's Bookstore's got them. Christian Yates Chance Christian
yes,
Bookstore has them as
absolutely.
well.
Okay.
Pretty much any major bookstore can get them.
If you have children, this is what I plan to do. I have 3 boys, and I plan to get each one of them a book and hopefully track him down and get him to sign them all. But if you have children, I just think what a great way to be an encouragement through Clif and his family. So go out, and Christmas is coming up, you know, maybe a birthday or whatever. Just pick up one of the books, and maybe for your family too, you and your spouse. So thank you.
Well,
Best
thank you.
of
I
everything to
appreciate taking the
y'all.
time.
And love your family.
Thank you.
They're
Thank
precious.
you.
And of course, with us today, Clif Powell. He is the author of Pray Hard and Speak Life. Wonderful book and wonderful family. So hope you'll run out and get a copy. We'll be back with more right after this.